divide.
My reading this morning is a poem that was just shared yesterday um, from a friend sharing. It's by Rosemary Watola Tromer, and it starts with a quote by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Real change, enduring change, happens one step at a time. And that's by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as quoted in Notorious RBG. So let me take one step right now, one step toward respect, and give me strength to take another toward clarity. And though my feet might feel like stones, let me take another step toward justice, and another toward equality, equity, and another toward truth. And though my legs may feel leaden and slow, though someone else may step on my toes, may I inch towards forgiveness. May every step be toward a bridge. Enough divisiveness. And as I go, may I find joy in the stepping, grace in the edging toward great change. But if there's little joy, let me step anyway. Then take another step, and another, and another. And that's a poem by Rosemary Watolas Tromer. Thus begins my homily today about faith divide. We encounter people with different spiritual beliefs on a daily basis, don't we? And many of us have a faith divide right in our own family. You know what I mean by faith divide, right? I was reading an article written by Patricia Raybon, who follows the Christian faith, and her daughter called her one day to tell her, guess what? I'm a Muslim now. And the mom's world was rocked. She was so devastated that she cried through her church services for years and couldn't even bear to decorate a Christmas tree, knowing that her daughter wouldn't take part in this treasured family tradition. And finally, one day, she says, after years of mourning her divided family, she heard God say, stop. Instead, surrender. She goes on to say, as believers, we can forget to do that. But God told me to stop now. Instead, surrender, wait, trust, pray. Did they heal that faith divide? We'll have to wait on through and enjoy this lovely sermon till the end to find out. I'll let you know at the end. Um, Interfaith marriages are much more common today. And it makes sense, doesn't it, that a free and open society that has been proudly called a melting pot and is proud of the diversity of its people would begin to marry people of differing faith traditions. And I know that many of you were taught in elementary school about that concept of the United States being a melting pot, this great big pot with all people of different nationalities and colors coming in. Well, a survey of US citizens reported in a recent Chicago Tribune article tells us that in 1988, 15% of marriages were interfaith, and in 2006, there were 26%. So almost twice as many interfaith marriages. And what is not pinpointed in the survey results is that often one or the other spouse has a spiritual awakening later in life, or a political change in their beliefs later in life, and suddenly um, that can really stress the relationship and the rest of the family, and can be the reason for divorce, or to close the door on a relative who is dogmatically certain that they have found the one true way, or spiritual path, or religion, or political belief. What to do? What to do? How can we approach it when someone's spiritual beliefs are creating turmoil in the family? What about not judging? Trusting and honoring that your family member is on the exact right path for them at this time. Surrender. There is something for them to learn in this particular chapter in their life, and I don't need to know what it is. I don't need to know or prescribe what
Here
steps.
come the kids.
I don't need to know or prescribe what steps they should be taking on their spiritual path. I may never know why they chose this path. It's actually none of my business. It's between that person and their higher power. There is power in admitting, I don't know what I don't know. And it's a good time to practice unconditional love. I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what. That's when it comes into play. There's a great affirmation in one of Dick Sutphen's meditations for creating harmony. And you've probably heard me say this one before. I love it. I view turmoil as a reason for making productive changes. I view turmoil as a reason for making productive changes. So the turmoil's there for a reason. It's for you to notice that changes need to be made. Um, well, here are some productive and um, healing recommendations for making those changes when you're trying to make peace with people of differing faiths or differing political beliefs. And these are adapted from tips shared by Jean Fitzpatrick, a New York City marriage counselor and member of the American Association of Pastoral Counselors. And these apply not just to interfaith couples, but to healing family faith divides as well, and political belief divides. Number one, avoid "this is not what I signed up for" trap. Neither of you married a snapshot. Your life or your relationship with that significant other is not a snapshot. Your relationship is a movie, or you married a movie, constantly changing. Number two, avoid making assumptions. Don't decide you know what your loved one thinks, or your loved one knows what you think based on a label. Number three, focus more on listening than on making your point. The more you seek to understand your loved one, the better chance of a meeting of the minds. Number four, focus on teamwork, not a tug of war. Rather than arguing about who's right, shift your approach to brainstorming on how you can make this relationship of two interesting but unidentical people work. Number five, be respectful and avoid judgment. There is no place in your family for deciding that your partner, your mother, your sibling, your son or daughter is not saved, or on the other hand is a religious fanatic. Number six, focus on areas of connection. Spend time on things you both agree on and enjoy. Now, when I got to this point, when I was reading it to my husband, he stopped me and he said, "Wow, were you aware when you were writing this that you were talking about you and I?" I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And and I, we talked about it. And since I had a spiritual awakening kind of experience after my 5-year-old son Jamie passed away, and that was 25 years ago. And I began to explore metaphysical beliefs, and he wasn't really with me on that journey. It was my journey with my friends, my classes, my sisters, and And 20 years later, I took a very bold step and got sanctioned as an ISD minister, and started a new church with my sister Sue. And he has retained his membership at our family church, the Unitarian Universalist Society, here in Oneonta. And I had to formally resign at the Unitarian Universalist Society, to meet the vow requirements to become a pastor for the Institute for Spiritual Development. So we have been, that's 40 years, I think, at UUSO. We have been experiencing this faith divide even in our own family. And he will call himself an agnostic, which drives me crazy. It's a trigger word for me. Like, how could you say that? How could you say that you're not sure if there's a God? Um, so there's lots of trigger words like that would triggers me. It just triggers me. So we focus very carefully on hobbies and events that we love to do together. So we are still growing together, acting in community theater together, loving to travel together. Now we hike together, enjoying our favorite comedies and TV shows together, among other things. Um, that trigger word, is so different. Like for some people, the word born again is a trigger word, or don't call me that. Don't call me a fundamentalist. So you got to watch, that trigger word for different people is, can be different for everybody. And speaking of healing faith divides, I've been very excited to hear that Pope Francis, the leader of the Catholic faith, has been calling for unity between practitioners of different world religions. And he's pointed out many times that all major religions are meeting God in different ways, and that it's important to remember that we are all children of God. Pope Francis even welcomed Israeli and Palestinian presidents to meet at the Vatican, a first in history, where they incorporated Jewish, Catholic, and Muslim prayers in several languages and readings from the Quran. He even raised quite a stir in some conservative Christian communities, because if you allow non-Christian ways to seep in to your pulpit, you are diluting the faith and promoting false worship. And I say, go, Pope Francis. Yay. So are you still wondering what happened to the Christian mom and the divide in her family over her daughter's transition to the Muslim faith? So wondering, did she close the door on her? You're dead to me. And people still actually do that. They actually will close their door on their son or daughter because of their religious beliefs. Did she agree to disagree and not discuss religion ever again in the house? Or did they meet on higher ground and find a solution? Well, here's what happened, and I'll quote Patricia, our Christian mom. Prayer helped me to invite Alana to approach our divide and walk through it, then keep on walking. We decided not to argue points of doctrine or discipline that divide us. Instead, we walk together in peace, surrendering our hurts to God, giving Him our hard questions, such as how to navigate holidays, and trusting God until He answers. End quote. Now, for how many of you was he a trigger word? Isn't that funny? Yeah, because somebody said he as our Lord's Prayer this morning, to refer to God with one, as a male, only a male, not a female. The different ways that we refer to God. She's comfortable with calling God a male. Okay. In the meantime, we love each other, looking for the good in each other instead of obsessing over differences we struggle to affirm. These are the subtle but superior ways any family or community can resolve hurt, chaos, and division. Then, as we await our calls to serve, we can build, patch, and pave our way to peace, one step at a time, as the poem said. To a destination? No. Peace is a journey, so keep on walking together forever. Thank you.